Develop Fire Ad Hoc Committee. Those minutes are also in your packet. And G, Planning Commission minutes in your packet. Item H, Zoning Board of Appeals has not met. Under item I, Building and Grounds Committee, those minutes are in your packet, and we do have one item there for approval in the amount of $480 to Troop Shine Cleaning and Preservation LLC to remove old finish and apply new finish on the floor at the rec center. Item J is the Elections Commission minutes. K, the Personnel Committee has not met. Item L, the Fire Department report is in your packet. And item M, PEG Committee, there's no report in your packet. Under new business, we have item A, consideration of approval to adopt the Michigan Townships Association Principles of Governance. Item B is consideration of approval in the amount of $750 plus $35 each for pressure and air gauges, if needed, to Northern Pump and Well for the annual inspection and routine maintenance agreement. Item C is consideration of approval to set an hourly rate for removal of noxious weeds and grasses by the township. Item D is consideration of approval to advertise to hire a licensed and insured contractor to do yearly removal of noxious weeds and grasses. Item E is consideration of approval of proposal number 1 from Kevin Willick in the amount of $450 to remove fallen trees and to remove the footbridge at Lagoon Creek. Item F is consideration of approval of proposal number 2 from Kevin Willick in the amount of $2,000 it says to remove and replace bridge at Lagoon Creek. It should be just to replace the bridge. The removal is covered in item E. Item G is consideration of approval in the amount of $1,419 to Excellent Exteriors Incorporated for seamless gutters at the rec center. Item H is consideration of approval to have Seeds do trail maintenance work and bridge replacement work for free at Lagoon Creek. We would provide trail posts and materials for bridge repair. Item I is consideration of a street light at Lagoon Creek from Great Lakes Electric. And item J is consideration of approval for policy renewal options from Provident Accident and Health for fire department members, presented by Berman Flower Insurance Group. If there are no additions or changes to the main agenda for tonight, we need a motion for approval.
We have to consider worship on F, and then we have H. One's going to do it for free, the other's going to charge us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're discussion points.
Yeah, I'll address that when we get to those, Dean. Yeah, those are two different things. No, same bridge. Okay, motion by by Brian Cruz, support by Dean Cruz to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under the consent agenda approval for tonight, we have item A, minutes of the regular board meeting from June 1st. Item B are the financial reports. Item C is approval of the Township General Fund expenditures, including the fire department, and those checks are numbered 38675 through 38769. There were checks 38676 and then 38750 through 38759 that were voided. Accounts payable total $62,174.10. Payroll totals $15,822.27 for a grand total of $77,996.37. Item D is approval of the water department expenditures. Checks are numbered 2870 through 2880, and they total $30,733.47. Item E is approval of the sewer department expenditures. Those checks are numbered 1130 through 1133, and they total $4,099.27. Item F is approval of the monthly ACH payments to the state of Michigan and IRS in the amount of $3,975.30. And then we have two agenda addendums here for tonight under the consent agenda. Item G is approval of the Township Board members to attend the MTA Summit September 13th and 14th at a cost of $176 per person plus accommodations. Item H is approval to allow the treasurer to authorize U.S. Bank National Association to debit our account. And if there are no additions or changes to the consent agenda, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Motion by Kolanowski, second by Dean Cruz to approve the consent agenda for tonight. Discussion?
Why were all those voided checks?
Printer malfunction. And that's the truth.
Printers do malfunction.
You can inspect them if you'd like. I have them in my office.
Okay, any other? Okay, motion for approval? Oh, I'm sorry, we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we have a young man here tonight to present. Everything's relative, Brian.
I appreciate that. Well, it's good to see everybody this evening. This is really only the second board meeting I've had in person in about a year, maybe a little over a year. So I'm sure it's nice to get out and see everybody. For sure. So what I'm handing out here is a slightly larger version than the very tiny map that you had in your board packet.
That's good because I couldn't see.
Yeah, and I'll talk about it. I'm not handing it out because I think you should be able to read this, but there's a couple things I want to point out just in general terms, and I've got a larger map here that I can point at as I'm talking, just so we can see it. But again, there's not a lot of detail I want to get out of that other than the color and how much area it takes within the township. So just to try to get you to how I got here this evening, Jerry and I were talking last fall and early this spring about, you know, carry on talking. I've never been accused of being quiet, so Jerry and I were talking last fall and early this spring about a new law for the township, since a lot of your wells are getting quite old. 61 to 90 years old. Those water mains that I'm showing you now. So I would estimate about 70% of your water system, water mains that you have in the ground, and the valves and the hydrants that are associated with them are getting quite old. Typically, we look at water mains as having a 50-year useful life. That can be shortened based on soil conditions, it can be lengthened based on soil conditions. You guys have had a good run with your water mains. In talking with your operators, however, so you have any problems with your valves and your hydrants, because those are usually the things that start to show first. Your hydrants get tight, they don't close off as well as they should, they're hard to operate. Same thing with the valves. Sometimes valves have been working all together and you just can't shut parts of your drain off if you do one break. They agree, they said, yeah, there's problems. The other thing is they can't get parts for some of those old items. If you have a hydrant issue, you might get parts for them, and they can't get those items. And the third thing with the old main is if you have a break, once you try and fix it, you end up chasing your tail, because you'll get a crack a little farther down, so you got to come a little farther back, you'll repair it, cracks more, especially asbestos cement, which is a lot of what you have in the ground. Asbestos cement, asbestos scary, it's not a bad thing in water main, but it is an old type of material that becomes very friable when it gets exposed. If you leave it underground and you don't mess with it, there's not big vibrations from trucks and commercial traffic, it will last a long time. But once you have an issue and get it out, you'll very hard. So that's what brought me here tonight, was to talk about not only being a well, which DEQ would really like to see you do, or is pushing for. I don't want to say requiring, because they haven't done that yet, but they will if you decide that, you said we want to do one. Two, if we take that project really well, with the funding mechanism, Township probably look at doing some water system work. If we don't do any water system work, any water main work, we should work towards setting a process on where you do so many feet of water main each year in order to get those replaced. I'm taking that whole project on at one time. I included the estimate in there was, what, 12 million, if I remember right, something like that. That was the third market. That's one of let's say 13 million, 12.7. Obviously not a small project. I would never expect Township or municipality to play a project like that all at once. But if you break it up into small pieces, it becomes more powerful and easier to do over time. Just something to kind of put in your mind and to think about. And if the Township feels that they want to start replacing some of that water main and we want to work the new well in with that, great time to do it. If you don't, that's fine. You need to know that your water system is getting to be in it is old. At least some of the main time. And it's probably kind of start thinking about replacing those. In my letter, so what I had said in my letter, I could have broken this down and said I would replace these pieces first. There's an estimate on that. Really what it boils down to is the Township wants to replace water main on a yearly basis. How much is the Township comfortable spending each year to replace that? Water, the balance is 500,000, this is $3 million. That's something that the Township has to say, hey, we're comfortable with doing X amount of dollars per year to replace the main. Let's say a lot of them are in your Oak Hill, well, pretty much Oak Hill, Iowa City area, but a lot of them are in Oak Hill. So, with that, I just really wanted to kind of touch on the highlights of that, kind of put it in your mind, so when you're writing about that, you're proud and can't see any questions on any other? One thing I was going to talk about, funding. The American Recovery Plan Act, ARPA, you guys may have heard something about that. Those are grant funds that all municipalities in Michigan, all the non-government communities are getting. It ends up being about $104 per capita. And my Township is what, $240,000, which is what it is. So, I hope that you can take that money and use it right to infrastructure. It's got to be used for water, sewer, infrastructure, or planning of infrastructure. So you can't say let's do a recycling program. Water, use for a well or water main, or whatever you want to do for water and sewer, one thing I would recommend is using that money to gain more money. So how we couple that, get either grant money or use it to leverage other funds that might do that. Any questions?
Were these put in different stages to know some are older and some are?
They are, yes, they were. So those that are yellow, you probably can't read it, but they were built in between 1930 and 1959. So they were, yes, they were done over different projects over time.
I guess what I'm driving at is, say for instance, we took this section here and replaced the water lines, and do another section, and then come on and do another section.
Yeah.
Do it over a period of 2 or 3, 4 years.
Right. So what I would recommend is that the township said, we want to spend X amount of dollars on our water system this year, try and figure out which ones we need to do sooner than later, which ones we need to do first. We're going to get the most bang for our buck, we're going to do some right now. Obviously, we would take the ones that are on the list, maybe the ones that you've had the most problem with already with brakes, and some of those that are the most inconveniencing if they break. So maybe you serve PCA with several of those water mains, and if that water main breaks, it's a big problem for one of your big employers that produces in the area. There's a loop going down there. Lots of iron and PVC. PVC is horribly expensive right now. The residents of that are terrible. Buying anything related. Iron is not cheap, but iron is probably your most problem.
So we have 8 inch, 6 inch, 4 inch, and
8, 6, and 4, yeah.
And most of all of our new stuff is ductile iron.
Yes.
Newer stuff. Yes, on the highway.
Yep.
Murky, red apple.
Anything from 1960 and newer is all ductile iron.
As far as a well, we got probably 3 sites at Township Home. You're along there.
Yeah, I looked into those. That is, with regards to the well, one of the things that we would talk about is, one thing, you don't want to get away from one basket. So if you have one well field and you keep putting wells in it, it's got good water, and it's producing good water, you know, if all your wells are there, and one day you get contamination, not all your wells are contaminated. So it's almost like an IRA or a diversified component so that one's up, one's down, and it works out hopefully. We try to keep from having your well all the same amount of it's going to be Two, the closer we can put a new well to your existing infrastructure, such as an existing well house or existing water mains, the less new infrastructure we have to put underground. So if we put it a half mile out of town, we've got to go a half mile water mains to get it all the way to your existing system. So this way you try and minimize the cost. And I looked at your existing well field and those locations, there's some very good options probably that you don't have to worry about again.
And just a reminder, Brian referenced Eagle putting heat on us to get a new well. I think it was last fall. You guys probably memory's better than mine that we had issues with well 2, and we had to reline it.
it was 2 years ago.
And part of them granting us permission to reline it as opposed to, putting a new well in there was assurance that we would put a new well in within 2 years. And so we did assure Eagle that we would, be working on that. So, and I guess the question I have, Brian, in terms of water main replacement and going with a loan or combination of grant and loans, and then how much do we want to bite off at one time, and do we want to go with so much per year or so much every 2, 3, 4 years, bite off a chunk? Is that funding and having to keep reapplying for loans, that sort of thing? How's that all play into it, as opposed to going for a $13 million RD loan or going for a loan for $4,000 this year and another $4,000 in 3 years or whatever.
So a couple of things that come into play there. One are our interest rates. Those change quarterly, can change quarterly. Rural development, for example. Rural development, you don't remember, that's the same private program you use for the sewer system. They can change, they review their interest rates quarterly. They can call it down and say the same. Right now, the interest rate at the property side is 1.375. Intermediate is 1.75. I think you get it based on
I don't think so. I think we're in the middle.
Okay, so we'll list that. So then you gave the 2.75 then at intermediate is 1.75 now.
Yeah, we were, our development loan for our sewer project, was at 2.75.
So, so what I'm getting at is the longer you wait, the more chance you have. Interest rates, they've never been this low with rural development. So most certainly they're going to go up. So if you do one now, and you do one in 4 years, you can add even lower.
$1 million or more?
Yes.
So we can go around that and some more we can get that done.
They'll do, right now, this, for example, we're applying for a $50 million project. There's no details, so yeah, as long as it's your water system, you can all do it as one project. Application-wise, the rural development application is getting worse and worse. I mean, today when we did your project, several years ago, but they're getting more and more involved. And I think the one you just submitted was too much big application. So if you need, every time you want to get new funds, you have to reapply, it's a whole process. So there's that stuff.
there any water line pulling down that alleyway?
No, most of the water mains are all in the road right away itself. Now, you'll see these little alleys through here, little skinnier, probably a 20 or 30 foot right away, skinnier alleys. Pretty much all the water main.
That's the electrical, but not water.
Yeah.
This includes repairing the roadway and the sidewalk that will go up and, fees.
Yeah.
In most cases, we don't have curb and gutters, would that include curb and gutters?
Yeah, we've got some culverts that we're taking out, putting in new concrete curb and gutter, moving in place, sidewalk, HMA surface, which is hot mix asphalt, and asphalt. Let's see what else is in here recently. Water service leads from the main to the right of way line. Not all the way down to the right of way line. Aggregate base under anywhere we've got to put new asphalt, replacement of the sidewalk, replacement curb gutter, restoration, traffic maintenance and control, mobilization process. We try and make it, complete. Now, one thing we do with these, since this is so preliminary, we go in as there, and I'm going to have to take half the road out. So one drive lane, whatever side of the road, we're going to have to do that. But I don't want to give you a number and you guys say, oh, that sounds great, we come back, I'm going to come in high now and have the cost of us. Design list, we could, this isn't, it's a lot of water main, but it's mostly residential. It's replacing existing. We could have it ready for permitting. Permitting is always one of the big items, but it's an existing system. We're planning to make it better. To deal with that for it wasn't easy.
This covers all permits, all that.
Covers permitting, design, construction, inspection. That's what we call a project cost. You talk about these projects at times, and you get to know as much as I do. 10 years from now, you'll be like, man, we could have done that water system for 12 million. That's a lot of money now. Right. But that's just the way it goes. I don't know, right? Even though we got out 2 years ago, hey, we got a deal, not compared to that. I'm not looking for any answers. I think everyone want me to come up with that. To the board. I don't know if you were looking for something.
No, I think it's something we have to digest, and I know just hearing your presentation tonight and thinking about it and hearing comments, I'm kind of changing my outlook a little bit on it, because when we talked, I think it was back in February maybe, down in my office, at that point in time, I was only talking about well, and then, when Brian brought up the water mains, we do have all the water mains, and I still think about the news clip I saw, I think it was Los Angeles, this was 3 or 4 years ago maybe, and the age of their infrastructure makes our infrastructure look young, but what happened when they had water main breaks out there, it was like, oh my Lord, let us never have to deal with that here in Tyler Township, and we very well could. And after talking with Brian, and he said, you really should borrow money, as opposed to, even though we have funds in our fund balance in our water account, we can pay for a well, but it leaves us pretty bone dry. And when you look at what we've done in the last 5, 6 years with repairs to the tune of $35,000 here, $35,000 there, the latest one on well 2, I can't even remember, I think it was $79,000. Things like that, it made that sense, yeah, maybe we better borrow money. We can keep some fund balance there for emergencies, and then we got into discussion about water mains, and, my initial reaction was, let's set up a plan. So much, right now, 4 or 5 years, so much more, 4 or 5 years. But after hearing everything now, that sounds like not a very good
No, a
decision.
250-page application.
Application and costs going up and
Interest rates.
and everything else.
When is the bond done?
We've only got about 2 more years from
Yeah.
current.
Right. That also is 2023.
What do we pay when we add it all up? Can you tell in your head annually what we spend on it?
Every 6 months, you pay one of those interest plus the principal, and the other interest only.
Even there's a small one, that just says it's all stuff. Total about $100,000 a year.
That 300,000, say, on the wall. Building and everything?
Yeah, it's not a new wall house, but a generator. Yeah, I'm not saying that on a generator.
A well house isn't that much money, are we?
Well, you wouldn't think so, but, you gotta bring the piping out of the ground, you gotta have extra valves and extra vents. I mean, it's not necessarily the house itself, but all the stuff that goes in it with it. Block building or even a wood building.
If you do wood building, you can go ahead and block it.
They don't have to have block though.
Does it seem like all parts are block?
They last a long time, but they don't have to have block.
But you're still looking at something in the neighborhood of 40,000.
For one. So, as you guys are thinking about this, if there's any questions,
Well, it sounds really, only when interest rates are low. But too much costs aren't coming down. It's older than arrows. Either way.
As soon as we think of the questions, we'll be calling.
Big questions are where can you get the money, how are we going to pay it, and
The big question in my mind is, when are we going to start the ball rolling? When are we going to start the process?
so I don't think we'll talk about it, we don't.
Yeah, that's my
They
thought.
told that winter,
Yeah, get the engineering done.
Got to get some idea of what it's going to cost, I mean, to the individuals.
yeah, that's something we can do. Yeah. Joey, I'll send you an email tomorrow just to get the number of users.
There's about 400 users.
Okay, yeah. I can figure out the bond schedule based on current rates. We can come up with a good number. So you know what that additional cost might be.
We want to get the whole project together.
And how does that additional cost play out? We have our water rate schedule, and we have a built-in our ordinance an annual increase. So explain how that,
You would adjust your current rate. Without anything to do with your annual increase, I would keep that in place because cost of electricity, cost of gas, refrigerators, cost of everything goes up every year. This inflation, I would keep that in there. So the adjustment would be to your standard monthly bill, and probably some of your consumption costs. There's a host of ways you can spread it out, but that's typically the way you increase your base monthly charge, and you also increase the cost of your water sharing consumption.
in order to be able to make the payments, annual payments.
Your enterprise fund legally has to make money, right? You're supposed to charge the reasonable fees to recoup any of your costs and set some money aside for replacement.
Right. can put something together for us, then, like Shirley said on that, what, how it's going to affect our fees or costs. That would be good to do that.
I'm going to answer, Tom, when you asked how long it would take. I wasn't figuring out like the time of the rural development application, so and I apologize for that, I just said, it wasn't saying, weight factor, right?
Therefore, yeah.
So if the township was to say next week, for example, hey, Ryan, let's get rolling, you're probably 3 months to 4 months out before we would have an answer back from rural development. Okay, so that puts us in November. So we're going to bid a project, we're doing it all, we're going to bid a project out this big, I would not bid it out in April, May, anytime after February. Because what happens is the contractors have already got their schedule set, and they're already busy. And if they can get this job for a premium price, heck yeah, they'll do it. So the bids are always higher, usually after February or March. You start bidding in April, May, June, it's not working to bid this project out at that point in time. You're not waiting until the fall or early winter of 2022 to bid that out for a start in the spring of 23. That way, the contractors aren't letting it out. They would love to have a big project like this for the whole season, and they get pretty aggressive on prices.
Any other questions for Brian?
If you're going to do it as part of rural development, we wouldn't be able to do it until we have the, and the thing is, rural development, if we're going to do the well sooner, see what will happen to rural development, you do the application, they tell you, we will loan you $12 million. You're like, cool, let's start the design. Okay, so we do the design, we go on, you don't see a dollar of their money until after the bids are received. Then they do the bond closing, because they know exactly how much the project's going to cost. So you go through design and permitting and bidding before you'll even see any money from rural development. And you close on that bond after the bid opening, and they'll reimburse you for all those costs that you paid for to that point. So what I'm getting at is if you say, hey, let's bid out just the well, I think rural development will step in and say, hey, look, that's 0.5% of the whole loan. Let's do it all at once. We don't have too much.
Let's continue to produce.
I think, and you guys have been, and I think on the DEQ side, if, Township says, hey, look, DEQ or DEQ, so they're called DEQ, but, hey guys, we're applying for a bigger project, just cut us a little time here, and then we'll be fine with that. DEQ really wants to know that you're working towards getting that a new well. And if you can show them progress, they're fine.
The 12-7 covers the well anyway, right?
The 12-7 in the letter, this was just for the water main replacement. So the $250,000 was not in this number. And I know that in the letter, I know that cover letter. But, so this estimate was just for trying to figure out what replacement of that whole section or replacement or would be. That's something I think you mentioned about a loop out PCA. That loop that PCA is right here. Right, that's the way it comes down the hill. That loop is served by 2 old lines. So if they were to break, I mean, you can still get nailed with it.
Can't sit on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way rural development works is you apply, when you apply, you are locked in at that rate that you were on. Okay, so let's say they come back and say, well, we're only out money, and let's say you're locked in at 1.8%. When you go to the bond closing, it came down with the one, you get the lower residuals. If it went up, you stay at what you locked in at. Very similar to the numbers.
Okay, anything else? Okay. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, I hear it thundering out there. So. All right, have a good evening. Everybody.
Thanks.
How big are your kids?
My kids, my oldest son is taller than I am. He plays college football, so he's, like a baby kid. He's learning hours. And my baby, my youngest, he is taller than I am. He's a junior, senior this year in high school. So, they're keeping him growing. They're doing great.
And you don't mess with them anymore, do you?
I don't mess with them, no. We stopped measuring ourselves about 2 years ago. I quit. I said, every time we measure height, I'm taller than you guys. You should know that by now. That's just taller than you are. It's not the case anymore. Yeah, I stopped. They still want to do it. They want to wrestle, they want to do a lot of stuff. I'm going to break something. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Public comment.
I hear all the thunder.
Okay. That would be great, yes. Thank you. It's just going to get all wet going to your cars.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's the case. I'm going to be stressing.
Okay, that takes us to department and committee reports. Your operation services report is in your packet, and you can see the water usage kind of continuing to hold steady. Sewer monthly reports in your packet. Larry's report is in there. Minutes and director's report and the developed filer ad hoc committee. The June 15th planning commission minutes are in your packet. Zoning board of appeals did not meet, so we're at I, building and grounds, and there we do have an item from the Building and Grounds Committee asking for approval in the amount of $480 to True Shine Cleaning and Preservation LLC to basically remove the old wax and apply new on the floors at the rec center. And if you haven't been over there lately, it's in pretty dire need of that. The floor's looking pretty bad. Outside? Yeah, I was going to say the interior should be all done with the painting, but yeah, that'd probably be Gary then, working on the outside.
I'll make the motion to accept this bid to have this flooring done.
Okay, motion by Kolonowski, second by Dinkhurst to approve the bid of $480 from True Shine Cleaning and Preservation to remove the old finish and apply new at the rec center. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item J, the Elections Commission met. The minutes are in your packet. Which is a reminder that our August regularly scheduled meeting is on Thursday instead of Tuesday due to the election. Okay, no personnel committee report. The fire department government. Jim said he couldn't do it tonight, but you do have a report in your packet. And I guess as long as we are being recorded, I would just make note of the first item there on Jim's report, that people wishing to burn need to go to the DNR website to see if burning is allowed in Filer Township for that day. The fire chief no longer issues the burning permits, it's the DNR, so you have to go to their website. Also note that the ISO report, we dropped on that. So we're in a little improved situation for homeowners insurance based on the ISO report. And he did include that ISO report. Okay. That takes us to new business. Item A is consideration of approval to adopt the Michigan Townships Association Principles of Governance. Motion that we approve the adoption of those principles of governance by MTA. Okay, motion by Walker, second by Brian Cruz to approve the adoption of the Michigan Townships Association's principles of governance. Sherry, you want to call the roll on that, please?
Brian Cruz? Yes. Walker?
Yes.
Davey?
Yes.
Kolowski?
Yes.
Tinsky? Yes. Dean Cruz?
Yes.
Paul? Yes.
Okay, item B is consideration of approving the amount of $750 plus $35 each for pressure and air gauges if needed to Northern Pump and Well for the annual inspection and routine maintenance agreement. And I don't have anything in my packet either. I saw that come through. That's basically, we've been doing that annually with Northern Pump and Well. That's kind of how we discover some of our issues before they become bigger issues and take care of them. So, yes. Well, no, it's, I think it is, yeah, 750. That, I believe that includes all three wells, Tom. I wish I had that copy. I thought it was in the packet. I don't know if I can pull that up on the email if I saved it or once I printed it out, if I deleted it.
Well, there must be a folder on there
Well, that's what I'm saying.
somewhere.
Unless I could take a real quick check, in Tammy's stuff that she put together for the packet and see if she just missed it, on the small table in
Do
there.
you want to do that, or you just want to approve this, and if it, it's...
Well, I think the question raised is, yeah.
I'm thinking if she had it, it would have been put in the packet.
I do.
And again, too, how did she know all these figures? It has to be around here somewhere.
I can pull up my email, but like I said, I'm thinking that possibly once I sent that to her to include in the packet, I may have deleted it, but let me just see real quick.
made a plan. I think assigning that to your bond by the range.
Just check the loaded. No, I do not, I do not have it. I'm guessing it probably would have come, late May, early June. It could have been late May, early June, and not, not have time to get it on the agenda for June. I can picture the quote from them. Total, because I think it was 250 per well.
I think that's the total, because
I think it was 250 per well.
he would see, that says each is 35, so I think the whole thing is,
I could give my killer a call too,
I
because
did that, and then we got
What's the difference between the two bridges? It's only one bridge.
it doesn't make no sense.
We figured it out. Very good.
you guys can show me
That's all right.
the sun.
Yeah,
We need two to sign, so somebody can give their stuff.
250 per well, so
Okay, so,
there you go. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. You back on?
We forgot to hit myself.
Motion by Dean, seconded by Stacy.
and now, did I carry my agenda in there, Shirley? Because now I can't find my agenda. Okay.
That's not gonna help me.
Oh,
I need
yeah,
somebody else.
that's my agenda.
Okay, then give me mine back, because I really need mine.
Oh, this is mine.
I just handed you mine.
This is my
too.
scribbling. This is the one you handed me.
No, I didn't do that.
I know, I did.
Oh, you just did that now?
Yeah, no, I've been doing that
I'm
through the
done.
meeting.
I'm done.
Okay, you got yours, okay.
I'm not gonna-
Nothing like organization, right?
Okay.
Okay, so,
Motion by Dean, seconded by Constantine.
okay,
To approve. In order
to approve,
Well,
yep. So, any other questions or discussion on that? Okay, you gonna do a roll call, Shirley?
Walker,
Yes.
Kaczynski,
Yes.
Kalinowski,
Yes.
Dean Cruz.
Yes.
Ball, yes. Leahy,
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Okay. Item C is consideration of approval to set an hourly rate for removal of noxious weeds and grasses by the township. Just for clarification purposes, this would be if the township provides the service of cutting the grass, if Paul does it. And in our ordinance, we have, we can set the fee and then charge an additional 50% for administration, et cetera, et cetera. My concern, I don't really want to go that route. I want to go the route of having a contractor do this, but Larry's had a lot of problems getting lawn service companies to do it because they're so busy. And traditionally in the past, we've always had our part-time employee do it, but there's a lot of wear and tear on our equipment. There's a lot of time that it takes him to do that when there's other things that need to be done. And so that's, and I had some discussion with Richard about this and said, you know, we need to cover his wages, his hourly wages, number one, wear and tear on equipment. So if we set a fee of $20 per hour, then that covers his wages, and then the 50% over brings it to 30 to cover administrative costs, Larry sending letters, et cetera, us providing the equipment, the gas, and so on. So that's the thought on that item.
Don't want to do it too cheap, because then we'll be in the lawn care business.
Exactly. And that's,
And I know that when we talked with Richard before, Richard said that it's gonna be tough for us to collect. We can't put it on a tax roll like some of these other places do. And where we went, we had that discussion before.
Yeah, well-
Putting that bill on the tax roll if people don't pay us. We can include it with the tax roll, but we can't enforce it that way.
City's $25.
25 an hour? No. And I mean, I came up with 20 just, because that's a few bucks over his hourly rate. I don't have a problem going a few more bucks over that hourly rate. And then, yeah, well, yep, exactly. And the biggest thing is, if we make it too easy, there's no incentive. Hey, I'll let the township do my grass cutting, and now it's no longer, May and September. Now it's anytime it reaches 10 inches, and we don't want to get into that kind of a business. So I'm open for any suggestions on an hourly rate.
Why don't we set the rate for $30 an hour for this year, because we're already into July, and we will advertise for next year for a service. Because by the time we would advertise and come back to the August meeting here,
Yeah, grass cutting season is.
getting over.
That $30 sounds good to me.
I'm good with 30 an hour, and so that means we can really, at
December
50% over, we can charge $45, and Is that,
I think we paid about $3,500 for our tractor.
oh yeah, 4 something, I think it was, our X-Mark, yeah. Is that a motion then, Shirley?
Yeah, well, what did we decide? 40, 30, and then plus the
30,
50?
and then plus the 50%, because the way our ordinance on noxious weeds rights is written is, you know, we can cut that at an hourly rate, and whatever we charge, add 50%. So,
Till the end of December? Can't imagine doing lawn mowing in December.
no,
but-
no. And then review it at that point, yeah. And I'll second that motion. So do you want to read the motion?
Set noxious weed hourly rate at $45 per hour until 12/31 of 2021.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Then item D is consideration of approval to advertise to hire a licensed and insured contractor to yearly removal of noxious weeds and grasses. And after discussion with Richard, you know, there really is no license required.
I was going to say.
Insurance is the big thing. You know, so we have a lot of lawn service businesses, not only in the township, but in the general area. The problem is, at this point in time, to call and say, hey, we need you, you know, within the next week or two, if, you know, to cut such and such property. These guys are busy, and that, you know, sometimes they can and sometimes they can't squeeze in another job. But we would like to advertise and try to get somebody that we can call on. And, you know, there's usually, I would say, probably at least a half a dozen per year that we're dealing with. You know, there's...
Is that just grass cutting or is that trimming too?
Well,
It's
it's noxious weed.
It's noxious weed, it's cutting the grass and trimming so that it looks halfway decent. I mean, it's not going to be,
It's not a tailored lawn service.
yeah.
It really gets rid of the noxious
So
weeds.
get somebody for that.
Well, no, that, then they would, their cost would be passed on to the homeowner. Whatever their charge for that is, you know, if they charge $100, then that's passed on to the property owner. And, you know, if we advertise and can get somebody lined up, you know, it's going to be a little bit tricky to deal with, probably, because it's not going to be every week, you know, like they do a normal.
Every 10 inches.
Yeah, right. So, but, you know, there may be a business out there that has room to take on a little bit more, and, you know, the whole idea here is to get away from having our part-time guy doing it.
I make the motion that we advertise for a contractor to do the yearly removal of noxious weeds and grasses starting in 2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Steggy, second by Kolonowski to approve the advertisement for hiring a contractor to do yearly removal of noxious weeds and grasses. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E is consideration of approval of Proposal 1 from Kevin Willick in the amount of $450 to remove fallen trees and the footbridge at Magoon Creek. And that proposal is, I think, is clear now, as opposed to the one that we tabled from our May meeting. Clean the work area by removing brush and fallen trees, pull the bridge structure over the creek, disassemble, and pile the debris for later removal. Cost, including $50 travel and setup fee, is $450.
Then the guy that took care of that tree for us, that guy with the tractor, what, is that the tree that they're talking about, or is it?
No. No, this is for the footbridge over the creek.
Yeah, legit removed.
Yeah, well, oh, no, in that area where the footbridge is, there's a lot of brush and some dead trees and whatnot, just to clean that area up, open it up a little bit more. Which he's probably going to have to do anyway to get in there with two poles that are going to replace the two poles that are there now.
Did we get some poles from the
Yes.
store?
Not from consumers.
So, we got two different things here. You got H, you got the,
Yeah.
and C, do a trail maintenance and replace that bridge. It's the same bridge, right?
Okay, the seeds, I met out there last week with Jennifer Flynn from Seeds and another gentleman that works with her. We walked all the trails. They have youth that do projects all over the place as, you know, part of the summer program. They just finished some big walkway and what's the Torch Lake area, I guess. But anyway, what we talked about initially when they contacted me, it was about, you know, we've got some grant money and we've got some manpower, we can do some projects for the summer. Do you have anything? And I had talked to her pre-COVID about this, and then, you know, it got nixed because she didn't have a crew any longer. They will, on the trails out there, the hiking trails, they'll do some cleanup, removal of trip hazards, low-hanging branches, that sort of thing. When we walked down by the bridge, I mentioned that we were going to be replacing that bridge, and she said, you know, well, our group can even help with that. We can't do any of the removal and placement of the logs and that, but when it comes to putting the boards on, you know, they could help with that. And I said, that's fine. So that's what that is. They're, you know, if everything falls into place, that we are in the midst of that project when they're at Magoon doing their project on the trails, then they can help. Paul and Bob probably will be the main two working on that. The other thing I forgot to mention is the post with the identification numbers of plant species. You know, we've got that pamphlet that marks the different spots along the trail. Well, some of those posts are rotted, need to be replaced. Many of them are in good shape, but they just need to be repainted. They're going to do that as well. Replace posts, repaint posts, renumber them. And there's a few that we need to have re-identification of plant species, and they can do that as well. So that's what they're offering to do. And as far as the bridge thing, it's just, you know, they can help with the boards that are put down to create the walkover. There'll be two poles that we got from PCA. They donated them, two 25-foot poles that will span the creek. So this first bid from Willick is just for removing what's there, the old, getting it out of there and cleaning up the area around there. That's all that's for. Okay, and then the second one, the E from Kevin Willick, proposal 2, that is to right now the two logs we got from PCA are placed along the roadway in. There's one post in there that can be removed, and that allows a larger piece of equipment to get down there. So he will come with his equipment and then haul those posts down the wide pathway that goes down to the creek mouth, and then across over to where the bridge is, back to the east, and then place those 2 logs over the creek with his equipment. And then from that point, we take over with putting the boards on the 2 poles.
Was this $2,000 bid, did that include putting 2 things across prior to you getting the 2 from PCA?
No, we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Last meeting.
What we were going to do initially was that Bob had identified 2, I can't remember the species of tree, that were fairly near there, that were,
Okay, so his $2,000 thing wouldn't have included the 2 posts.
no,
It's
no,
just,
it didn't.
it's just basically his labor?
It's labor and equipment to move those down there.
Drag it down there.
Yep. Yep. And it's, you gotta have something to get those 2 25-foot
They're heavy, I heard, they're real big.
to put across the creek. Yeah. Yeah, they're big poles. So basically, yeah, you're paying for the equipment to do the
$1,000
job.
a pole to get down there.
But he's not going to do any of the boards across the poles?
No.
The seeds people would do that?
Seeds and
And/or Bob?
and Paul and Bob. Yeah.
This guy insured?
Yeah. I think we already sent that to you, didn't we? Last month. Yeah, I know I said to Bob
We'll make the
to get it.
motion that he needs to have insurance.
Yeah, and I might still have that in one of my texts from Bob, a copy of it.
You want to do these separate or together?
Separate.
Yeah, they're on here separate, so we can deal with them separately.
I make a motion to accept the first one as proposal 1.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Brian Cruz, second by Steggy to approve proposal 1 from Kevin Willick in the amount of $450 to remove fallen trees and brush around the bridge and removal of the existing bridge at Lagoon Creek. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item E is consideration of approval of proposal 2 from Kevin Willick in the amount of $2,000 to replace the bridge at Lagoon Creek. Basically, that's to set the new logs in place for the new bridge structure. Not to exceed $2,000, and when I spoke with Bob about this today, he said that is a not to exceed. It may come in less than that, so for whatever that's worth. I will make a motion to approve proposal 2 from Kevin Willick in the amount of $2,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any other discussion? Yeah, that's, yep. No discussion? Okay, go ahead, Shirley.
Dean Cruz?
Yes.
Steggy?
Yes.
Brian Cruz?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Paul? Yes. Chip, or one
Yes.
Kaczynski.
Okay. Item G is consideration of approval in the amount of $1,419 to Excellent Exteriors Incorporated for seamless gutters at the rec center. And that is for gutters to go all the way around the building. I know in Gary Schrader's inspection that he did prior to submitting a bid for painting the exterior, he did talk about some of the damage that's taking place due to rainwater running down the walls, and that, you know, we definitely wanted rain gutters on the front at the entrance because there's an issue with the water running off, particularly in the wintertime. I know Linda has mentioned several times, winter classes go in there, it's slippery. Water coming off the roof is freezing, even though we do have a gutter, about a 8 or 10 foot section just across there. But so this is looking at putting gutters all the way around. And Shirley, you'd asked about screens, and it does not include screens. They recommended that you don't go with that. And I don't remember what Bob told me the discussion was that you had with them, but you have more issues with those plugging up and then the water running over the top of that and off, so you're right back where you were without the gutters. And I said, well, we're just, you know, there's a lot of oak trees there, and same thing we have at Nelson Street, that stuff that comes off those oaks in the spring, that fine stuff. I mean, the gutters get plugged with that, and we'll just have to make sure that Paul keeps an eye on that in the spring, and the trees are shedding those and keep them clean. So that is just for the gutters and downspouts.
Did you read the second part of that? White seamless gutters.
Yep.
And then the other says color to be determined.
Yeah.
I think
I think we're determined that they need to be white to match
I
the gutters.
make the motion that we go ahead.
I'll second that one.
And I notice he's got taxes included, but we
Yeah.
don't pay taxes, so we gotta
Right.
make sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so we have a motion by Dean Cruz, second by Koloneski to approve Excellent Exteriors Incorporated bid in the amount of $1,419 to put seamless gutters around the rec center. Any discussion? Shirley?
Kolonoski,
Yes.
Brian Cruz. Yes. Ball, yes. Kaczynski. Yes. Davey,
Yes.
Dean Cruz,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes. Item H is consideration of approval to have Seeds do trail maintenance work and bridge replacement work for free at Magoon Creek. We would provide trail posts and materials for bridge repair. And again, just on the bridge repair, it would only be, you know, helping to put boards on if that coincides, you know, with when they're there. If not, they'll just be doing the trail maintenance. As I indicated, trip hazard removal, low-hanging branches, and then the posts. And she did mention to me that they have some funds to get posts if we need them to. When we did our walk around and kind of inventory, I don't think there's very many posts that actually need replacing, maybe a half a dozen of the treated posts. Mostly it's a case of repainting, touching up with paint and numbering. So
I'll make the motion, we approve Seeds to come in and do this. I'll second.
motion by Kolonoski, second by Brian Cruz to approve having Seeds do trail maintenance work at Lagoon Creek Park. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item I is consideration of a street light at Lagoon Creek from Great Lakes Electric. Just a little history on that. I think I've talked about that before, earlier this spring. We had an individual come to a building grounds meeting requesting a street light there because of a lot of things that were going on around the park entrance. We, the township, have had a number of issues there over the last 2 to 3 years with people circumventing the gate at night, going into the park after it's closed, that sort of thing. We had damage to the gate twice. We've had letters on the block wall torn off twice, and so we wanted to get a street light there with surveillance cameras, and I did get a quote from TKS out of Traverse City for cameras way back. That's probably over 2 months ago. Then it was a case of trying to chase down electric there.
Great Lakes Energy.
Yeah, it's Great Lakes. Well, Consumers is on the park side. They have the west side of the road, but they only go so far to the south. And when I talked with the representative from Consumers, I had discussions with him 2 or 3 times before I was able to get any kind of a figure from him. And the last time I talked to him, he said, I don't think you're going to want to do that. It's going to be cost prohibitive. I said, well, how much? I said, I don't need an exact figure. Just give me a ballpark figure so I know whether to continue to pursue this or not. And he said, well, ballpark figure is going to be around $30,000 to bring electric to the south that far. So then I went to Great Lakes Energy, and I had already talked with them initially, and kind of didn't get anywhere with that discussion. And when I came back, and I had to let them know that you're servicing the residents on Himker Lane and on the next road south. I can never remember the name of it. Standell. So you have power there. Can we get a street light? And of course, I didn't even explore. Just had a real brief discussion with them about getting it to the west side of the road, so it'd be right there at our park entrance. Obviously, that's going to cost more. They said they could put a street light up on the east side of the road, right across from the park, and it would be, a nice long arm like we have at other locations, and it would be an LED light, so it lighted up pretty good. And I asked again for a ballpark figure, and was told $1,000. And so I started the process. They emailed me forms that need to be filled out and so on. I haven't done that because let's not jump the horse and wait to get approval first. The only problem is they will not put a meter on the pole. They will not put an electrical outlet on the pole. Only the light. So that means we're not going to be able to do our cameras that we wanted to do. But, when I thought about it more and talked with Building and Grounds about it, I thought, just having that area lit up might resolve some of our problems.
Yeah, because
have it well lit.
people don't like
lights.
Yeah. And I have the resident that came to the Building and Grounds meeting reported that there were times that, they see vehicles parked there, just sitting after dark, and then they'll see a state police vehicle parked out there for a while. And I did see recently on Facebook where a bunch of garbage was strewn on Hemker Lane, and
Is Hemker exactly across
it's
from the entrance?
almost, it's just a little bit to the north, just
We
like.
could get it almost right next to Hemker Lane, almost right across from the park entrance, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
A nice lead in over,
Yep.
like on Red Apple Road, probably, got the,
Yeah, yep,
But, you know, that's not a county road, it's not a township road, that's a private drive.
yeah, Hemker's
Be
right.
concerned about that. Just a split where we can cover our Woodland Creek Drive.
Well, that's
Try to keep it to that.
Yeah, it's not gonna have to go far with the running power. I gotta believe it's, what, maybe 10 to 20 yards? Right across from the midpoint of our park entrance?
If we cover our area for our driveway, it does get lights out.
Yep,
I looked at all over here the other day.
yeah.
I make a motion to pursue that line in Great Lakes Energy.
I'll second.
I sure wish they'd put a plug in there for us. I don't know
Nice, but
why.
maybe in the future we can work on that.
Yeah,
Can't be 30 grand to consumers.
I don't
We don't
know.
know
Yeah.
if they're gonna put a plug in either.
Yeah.
But this way we got electric, he's got lights.
So what's
Okay,
this motion
and-
reading? It's going to
Yeah, I was
be
just gonna say, to
start,
start the process, and I don't have a price for you, a solid price, but I guess, based on what I was told, $1,000 is ballpark.
1,000 ballpark, and leave it to the discretion of the supervisor.
There you go.
Well, there'll be more to come. You'll have to sign more things with Great Lakes that we'll have to vote on.
Yeah, there's forms that gotta be filled out and everything, but I'll start that
Pursue it.
process.
So,
Yep.
street light that we can correct.
I supported that motion.
East side.
Yeah, you made the motion, right, Brian? Okay, so we have a motion by Brian Cruz, support by Hachinsky to approve consideration of a street light at Magoon Creek from Great Lakes Energy.
Start the process.
Yep. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item J is consideration of approval for policy renewal options from Provident Accident and Health for fire department members, presented by Burnham and Flower Insurance Group. And you've got that invoice in your packet. And I guess the way I'm looking at that, Shirley, is we need to select
Yeah.
one of those
President
plans.
Plan is the top one.
Right.
And
And then there's two other options.
two other options, and it's a 3-year plan. So every year we would be building, well, the top amount, 1654.
Well, that's the current plan.
That's the current plan. Yeah, well, but that's one of your choices, if you want to stick with the present.
Oh, okay, okay.
Or if you want to go to, they give you a quote on plan number 1 and a plan number 2, but
Right.
nothing to back up what the difference would be, the coverage.
So we don't know the difference in coverage between those. We just know that we're paying currently $1,654
Right.
Is that what we're paying
per installment. It's a 3-year,
Well, I don't know if that's what we are
currently?
now paid this year, if that's your question.
oh,
I would think it might be lower because I know I did give them a head count of how many fire people we have. So we're insuring less.
That's 48, 49, that's about $60 more paying it yearly than paying it all at once.
Well, we can't pay it all at once. We have to pay it in 3 installments.
And that's more money.
Well, that's the way the plan is.
but it says 3-year
Prepaid.
prepaid premium.
Yeah, I don't get what you're saying.
For accounting purposes, we have always paid it yearly. So,
But for discounted purposes, you pay it prepaid premium. Save a little bit of money.
Yeah, we'd be saving between $100 and $200.
We could do
Over that
that and
three-year
then have
period.
a budget amendment to take it out of fund balance because of course we will be coming up short this year. And
Save
we have
about $170
an overage.
or something.
How much?
174. Taxpayer money.
And their current plan meets the fire department's needs? Are they
This is the
satisfied
plan
with it?
that comes into effect if somebody is injured and losing time off of their jobs, because they were injured and we haven't had a claim on it in years.
I say just keep it the plan we got.
Well, I'll make a motion that we go with the present plan and do the 3-year prepaid premium of $4,788 for this Provident Accident and Health Policy.
I said it.
Okay, motion by Walker, second by Brian Cruz to approve the current or the present plan with Burnham and Flower for accident and health insurance coverage for our fire department members at a cost of $4,788. Any discussion? Okay, Shirley, call the roll.
Earl? Yes. Steve Cruz?
Yes.
Brian Cruz? Yes. David?
Yes.
Chinsky? Yes. Walker?
Yes.
Kalinsky?
Yes.
Okay, public comment. Everybody's gone? Anything? Okay. Any other business to come before the board? Tom, have you got anything? No. Brian? Tom?
Nothing.
Shirley? Dale? Don't. Dean? I don't have anything either, so I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Brian Cruz and Dean Cruz, seconded by Staggy for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.